Rethink Podcast, episode number... well, we're in Corinthians.
1 Corinthians, right?
Chapter 8.
Yes.
And 10.
Why'd you skip 9?
Matt told me not to touch it.
It's next week. This is like part one of the
Matt's not here.
conversation.
Yeah, where is Matt?
Got fired.
Does he normally that normally happen? Matt, do you have anything to say about? Oh no, you don't. You're not here.
Okay.
No, it's a different subject. He comes back to the subject in chapter 10. That's why we did it this way.
Do you think it's like he's like, oh yeah, I forgot to talk about this?
I
Oh,
think
no, don't spoil it. Don't spoil
I know he's
it.
an apostle, but he has ADD.
I heard you say that. That's fine.
Yeah, no, that's part 2 of conversation next week.
Okay. so-
Why does Paul go
Hey,
on
would you
rabbit
quit
trail
that?
in verse
Quit that.
I'm
9?
gonna quit right now.
What are you?
You're
Come
not.
on, man.
Done.
All right.
Go ahead. What?
Oh, we'll address that question next week. I just didn't want Andrew to jump the gun this week.
Why it's not in there?
Well,
Why not 9?
Why
Did you skip it?
is 9 in between 8 and 10? What's the purpose?
I'm anxious to hear the answer.
I mean, that's how I learned how to count. It was 8, 9, 10. So it's always been between them.
I mean, right now our kids are doing the memory verse that they've learned in CC Kids, and it's Ephesians 2, 10, 8. Like, you can't correct them.
2, 10.
Yeah, 2, 10, 8. That's what it is. But they got the rest of the verse. For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works. And then just,
10, 8.
yeah.
All right.
They have a problem with numbers.
Let's get rolling.
What questions you
Hate
got
to get,
for us,
hate to get started here
there, Levi?
without Matt, but
We've given him long enough.
he
Yeah,
may
we
not-
have.
He may not be coming back.
Okay, so chapters 8 and 10, we have kind of some cultural complex issues going on. So
I
There
thought it was
has
a
been.
lot simpler than all that sex stuff Matt talked about.
just wanting to be upfront and clear at first.
Just so
What
you
are
know,
some of the issues
I had to
going
talk
on?
about that too, Jeff. It was not comfortable.
I bet.
You did great.
Anyways, I'd missed the question.
This is cultural stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm-
Well, what are some of the
Focus.
What are some of the things that are going on in chapters 8 through 10 that Paul is addressing? There's like 3 different scenarios at least.
3?
Maybe.
I only caught one.
So
Okay, 3 distinctions. maybe is the one.
I don't know if this is what you're asking for.
Let me
but I
see your
think-
notes and I'll tell you.
So we're talking about meat that was sacrificed to idols. So
Right.
Corinth
Yeah.
is this culture, and we've talked about Aphrodite. I can't say Aphrodite's a lot this series, but there was tons of other false gods that they worshipped, and so all of these false gods they centered around this main sacrificing of animals. And so worshippers would come and they present a sacrifice to be made, and so they would sacrifice parts of that. A lot of that it was the legs and it was the internal organs that would get burned up, but then the meat, the good stuff, the stuff we would normally eat, the priest would take their share. Then what was left would go back to the worshiper that brought it or the family, and a lot of times they do the big banquets and parties. So that's moves that one that you're talking about, the banquets and parties. One, they may take it back to their homes, and they
Oh, there's number 2.
They may invite others in to come with them, or they may take it to the market. Excuse me.
Number 3.
They may take it to the market to resell it. And so what would happen, just
I
like
would've
you and
never
I,
got all 3 of those.
I think he must have got it from mine because I laid it out like that. What would happen, just like you and I, like if we're going to throw this big celebration, what do? We invite others in. So last night we had the hog roast at Clay County, our harvest party. I invited a ton of people, and I know
You roasted a hog
lot
that
of
had been sacrificed to an idol?
we roasted a hog that was not sacrificed to an idol. We roasted a hog that we can celebrate and enjoy the meat.
That's
of the
definitely
hog.
not
Biblical
clean.
fellowship.
Yeah, I did tell everybody it was not coincidence. I actually think it was divine that there was guys that spent 14 hours, more than that prep, but 14 hours slow roasting this hog in a big open pit that they made all night long the same Sunday that we're talking about this.
Meat sacrifice
Meat
to
sacrifice idols.
Yeah.
But just like that, so like there was, in that culture, you would get invited to these banquets or invited someone home. And so Christians were some of those got invited. And maybe it was your relative who was not a follower of Jesus, a pagan or a follower of Poseidon or whatever. And so then that created, I assume, the issues that we're going to get into.
So, okay, Do you think this was more of an issue though for the Gentile Christians, or was this more of an issue for the Jewish converts?
It's a good question.
That is a good question.
I think that the direction of the message is for those who are having
I like that no one wants
I'll
to
answer.
answer
I'm
that.
gonna wait till
That's
Jeff
cool.
answers.
their Paul is addressing the people who are willing to eat the meat because they understand the idol is nothing. There is but one God. Eating meat doesn't bring you closer or further away from God. So they understand that. So that would, in my mind, probably be the Jewish converts, right, who grew up under the Shema,
Yep.
one God,
Yep.
no idol worship. So they were taught that the idol meant nothing. Whereas the Greek Christians in Corinth grew up under idolatry.
Yep.
And so to me, that would be the person who has struggled with substance abuse versus the person who hasn't.
Matt is literally crawling.
Can we have
to
video of this?
The set right now. This is.
He's groveling for his job back. Look at that.
There's no way he gets up without bumping the table.
You know he's gonna fit
He is now stuck under a chair.
Nothing to see here.
Hey, welcome to the podcast.
What a workout. You saying something?
Yeah, but what?
Jewish,
Jeff, I would,
Greek,
I
Christian.
would agree with.
Oh, I know. The,
Yeah.
the illustration. If you grew up in a house that had substance abuse, that could be a temptation for you. You have that experience. That's why I think it was the Greek Christians who are now struggling with this issue. And he's talking to the Jewish brethren, really. Hey, we get it, but we're all in the same family now, and so we got to understand where they're at.
Yeah, I think it's cultural appropriation of. I've seen this around the world, even like how Christians deal with different cultural issues today. What's accepted by one group of Christians in a part of the world may be vastly different from what's accepted in another context. And it doesn't make us any more righteous or not, but it's understanding that you don't want to be a stumbling block, that you want to be building up others and making sure the kingdom is front and foremost, not the cultural issue.
It's a hard distinction to make sometimes.
You got to know, you really got to know the context you're in well and the people you're with well in order to
And
make
the
sure
word.
the kingdom.
I think you got another word to see what's the real biblical boundary of this issue, or is this just something I was raised in culture?
Yeah. That's the other thing too. So like you have in our context, we have a lot of cultural issues that aren't biblical, where the Bible is very clear on issues of what to do. Here, the meat sacrificed to idols, there's not necessarily a clear teaching outside of like Jewish, Judaism. So in our culture, we have very like clear.
So yeah,
issues.
Paul is really laying down a new filter here for people to make cultural assessments,
Yep.
because this is all new stuff.
So you mentioned a couple keywords in there. You mentioned puffed up and built up. Caleb, can you reenact for us how you said the word puffed up in your sermon on Sunday? Because it was fantastic.
I actually don't remember. Let me think real quick. So the verse
Bit of
says,
spirit.
so knowledge puffs us up. I think I put my chest up like that. No, it puffs us up, but then
What?
love is gonna what?
Usually you pop those things. Pus.
Puffs.
Puff.
Oh, puff.
Yes.
Read the script. P-U-F-F.
Yeah, that's not what you
Spell
said.
that in Spanish.
I don't know. Ooh, F-F.
But you definitely said pus, but
Puff. Enunciate, guys. Come on.
I heard it.
Yeah.
I'm not the one here.
No, it was just great because
Yeah.
I was just listening to your sermon, and all of a sudden I was like, "Whoa, your voice got really deep," and you like,
Buff you up, man.
yeah,
Maybe that's what I did. I don't remember. All I
I'm so
remember.
glad we got that footage.
Forgot about that.
Stephen,
All I remember, and
his
actually,
brain immediately just
I
engaged
actually
at
opened
another
with
level.
this,
Outtake.
but I did not spend as much prep time in this, and I'm not talking study. I'm talking being able to present well. This week, I just had a crazy week.
So you just shot from the hip.
And
You actually texted
so,
us Saturday and we're like, I should start working on
yeah,
that.
you thought I was kidding. I was kidding, Jeff.
Have a we're gonna have
fired.
a meeting.
So we said that. I think I did, but it was just off the whim and going for
was
it.
great.
So yeah.
Well, okay, so you mentioned that, and this word "puffed up" is actually kind of woven throughout the whole letter, and it's a theme that that Paul is addressing. So, I mean, I have it: 1 Corinthians 4:6, 1 Corinthians 4:18 through 19, 1 Corinthians 5:2, 1 Corinthians 8:1, and then it's going to come up again in 1 Corinthians 13:4, actually on the subject of when he is talking about love and how love is not one that puffs up, and so yeah, what would you guys elaborate on there of just that difference between how does God change how someone responds so that way love is what builds up rather than just
I love Jeff's illustration of someone young that thinks they know everything, or a teenager that thinks they know everything, compared to adults. And I think that's exactly what it is, because Paul was saying, like, you think you have knowledge. Those who think they have knowledge, you actually have none. And as you were explaining that, Jeff, like, the kids in my household right now range from 4 to 16, and every single one of them, like, they think they know it all. They think they know this. They think they know that about certain things, not about everything, but certain things. And then you hear them explain it, it's like, actually, that's completely off. And I remember I was there at that point. There's probably still things I am there at that point. Those of you that know me well, but it's the difference of knowledge combined with love is going to build up. Where in that case, eventually, if you pursue that, you're going to fall on your face. And it's just a really cool picture of the church. If we go through that and we have that attitude of a know-it-all, I know all this and I understand all this and I have the answers.
Knowledge
Man.
without love is a billy club.
Yes.
It's used just to beat people up.
Yeah. So
Well, how many times did you say that word was used?
6. Sometimes it's translated just as proud. So like in the 1 Corinthians 13 one, it's, love is not proud, but it's the same Greek word. So sometimes it's, I'm not a super word scholar. I just know that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. It doesn't translate puffed up all the time
No, it
because
doesn't.
that was a new one on me. Cool.
But yeah, it's this theme, and so there's seems like there are definitely people, probably the men in the congregation that are really using their knowledge, they're trying to justify their behavior, trying to justify even their freedom in Christ, and so
Well,
actions
I
are-
think that has to tie some to the Greek culture.
Yeah.
We're just down the road from Athens and Mars Hill, and
The center of knowledge.
they're proud of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Gnosis is the big, superior trait. So
that slogan that Paul said, I think it's in verse 2, like, we know that we all have knowledge. That was a very common Corinthian slogan of them talking about, like, man, we are intellects here. Like, you have joined this group, and if you know, like, we know these things. Don't
I've
come
heard
tell
you
us.
say quite often, like our goal is not that you know, but that you do.
Yeah.
And knowledge without behavior, empty. It's actually it's worse than empty. It's dangerous.
Yeah, you become you become really toxic, arrogant, but you kind of elitism is a part of that too. So
He also, throughout chapter 10 especially, really brings in these themes of idolatry and continuing the conversation with sexual immorality. Do you guys have any insights on, like, why is he bringing up those two topics again in chapter 10?
Nope.
I was literally going like, I got nothing else.
I just want to know why
Okay.
we went from 8 to 10.
It's their big problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pride and sexual immorality.
Yeah, and those are also connected to the temple, too.
Yep.
Pagan temples, typically. And he uses the illustration of the Israelites there, of even going back to
Right. at
the Old
beginning of that.
Testament.
Yep.
Yeah, you're agreeing. Keep going.
I didn't bring a Bible with me today.
Here, you need to use this one?
No, there's one right here.
I don't think that is.
Hand me the button.
What do you need? I have my Bible.
It actually is safe, book safe.
You can use this one. You really can.
I'm just trying to remember. That was last week.
Well, so, I mean, but Paul
And he didn't
is...
prepare, so
Yeah,
Paul
forgot.
is, using the example of the Israelites.
You don't remember your own sermon, Caleb?
That was yesterday.
No, this was this text.
I mean, it was
Whoa,
like
whoa, whoa,
less.
whoa, whoa, whoa. The text
than
that
36
Levi is referring to
Yeah.
is not something I included in. It's the before. I started in 1023. It's still on context, but it's not something that I taught.
You know what? I don't have any idea what it's about because Matt told me to stay away from it. I have
I
not
don't
even
think
read
that's
it.
True at all. I haven't even read it.
Paul is definitely arguing for a lot. But
Okay,
how about
I didn't study this at all for this week.
It's a continued problem. He just
I mean,
keeps
I read
coming
it,
back
but-
to. I have before anyway.
what do you have, Levi?
Yeah,
So
it's like
again, I don't know where
Loaded.
I don't know where you're going with that, but if I had a guess, this is where Levi's going with this. So the illustration he's using is when God brings the Israelites out of Egypt through the Exodus, and they're being led by the pillar of fire and the cloud during the day, and he's preparing them for going into the promised land. So this is prior to the giving of the Ten Commandments, prior to that, but he's reminding them not to fall back into their old ways of following these false gods, of following these idol gods, and going to their own practices. And so he's reiterating, going back to the Shema. He doesn't clear that in, but back into the Shema, that there is one God. I am that one God. You are my people. I am your God. Is that where you're going with that?
it's definitely an example for us. So
So that's not where you're going with that.
No.
Why did you
Just,
tell us where
just
you're
tell
going
us
with
and we'll comment on
I was
it.
Get it over
looking at
with.
him going.
We'll
I'm
scratch
waiting for him
it.
to go. Nope.
You win.
we'll scratch it. Okay, what
Great.
are the
Moving
guiding
on.
principles?
What are the what?
Nice try. That's what happens.
You right over there?
Went down the wrong tube there.
Levi's put death upon Caleb.
Making us all look bad.
So what are Paul's guiding principles coming out in this section? I think that one we can talk about that one. Because Jeff, you illustrated it well, and
But not as well as he'd like.
this guy is dying over here.
You know,
I am down
I don't
here.
need the headphones on to tell that you're loud. All right?
Yeah, the line goes high.
Andrew's like, your breathing's driving me nuts.
Stop breathing.
Good.
Guiding principle is that we are, as mature believers, responsible for leading people to Jesus. You know, to me, it hits its peak when Paul says, "Follow me," because I'm following Jesus, and if you follow me, you're going to find Him.
Yep.
And I think when he says there are people that struggle with this, the responsibility, you know, what he doesn't say is really important. He doesn't say they need to grow up. They need to be educated. They need to get it right. I think that's a part of things that will come. But he says to those who are mature, hey, you're responsible for them. So if your behavior is causing them to come away from Christ, you're guilty. Right? So straighten up. So the responsibility, the reason this passage is heavy is everybody who claims to be solid and strong and secure in their faith, the responsibility is being dropped on them. You're responsible for leading people to to Christ.
When you were sitting there thinking, or talking about that yesterday, I was sitting there thinking, because I'd heard it a couple times. The third time I thought to myself, it hit me different because I thought I was sitting next to my kid, and the third one, going, not only am I responsible for all the other people that are in my life, but like I'm also responsible for her. That elevates the responsibility.
When you ask the question, though, am I living with enough Christ-like integrity that if people truly just followed me, they could be saved? Not by me, but because I'm going to take them to Jesus. That's a hard question.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a heavy responsibility because we're talking about eternity here, right? So by following me, do they get?
And I
they
think
get to heaven?
your kids and your wife and your will tell you the truth.
Yep.
That's what I thought of. Like, oh man, you know who wants to like who could tell me if I am her?
I think along the same lines, like as humans, we haven't changed. We're the same. Like the people that live out there are just like us, and so in most cases, even those of us that are followers of Jesus Christ, who have been followers of Jesus Christ for years, we get what? We get selfish, we get self-centered, we get thinking about self, and I think that's what he's saying.
And we get
And
judgmental
here,
too.
yeah, we do. And he's saying, you need to surrender yourself. We have these freedoms in Christ that Christ allows us, but what do you say? Like, everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial. And so stop thinking about yourself and think about those surrounding you. What are they watching? What are you doing that's going to cause them to fall away or cause them to stumble or cause them to question? Are you edifying the church? Are you building up the church? Or are you focused on you?
Do you guys know who said, "But by the grace of God, there go I"? Yeah, I don't remember who said that. But you got to remember that when you're mature in your faith, or you think you are, judgmentalism is a dangerous thing, because if it's not for the grace of God coming after you, you would be in the same place.
Yep.
Right? We're all lost without His coming after us, and so pride is a dangerous man.
Yep.
Goes before defeat.
You said something though that I thought was just fantastic about the progression of
Yeah, that's because he lost his job before this podcast started.
Right.
Maze.
Begging for it back.
yeah. You were talking about the celebration of basically sin. Like you went through this progression.
Yeah,
Man, it was spot on. Do you remember what it was?
I do.
It's because he remembers
I
his
made
sermon
that.
because he was well prepared.
I made that up.
On the spot?
That's original. No, not on the spot. So
With him,
'cause
you
the
don't
culture
know.
tolerates. The culture champions the idea of toleration. Toleration leads to acceptance. So what we tolerate, pretty soon we accept.
Yep.
What we accept, we end up celebrating. What we celebrate, we promote. What we promote, we end up participating in. And can you not see that in the church?
Man, that is
There's a church
fantastic.
movement, a denomination in our country that has split the last 2 or 3 years over whether or not to ordain homosexual leadership. How did that happen? Toleration, acceptance, celebration, promotion, participation.
Yep.
It's dangerous.
It is on full display in this culture and in ours.
Yeah, and it definitely, the reason I was asking about the connection between, like, why is he bringing up idolatry and sexual immorality in this section is because of that progression exactly. Is because the meat being sacrificed to idols, whether you buy that meat in the market or not, that's kind of just a surface level issue. But what happens is when these men are going to the little banquet halls in the temples and they're participating there, that's when their connection with the meat being sacrificed to idols can lead them and put them in a place for sexual immorality,
I'm
for
not meaning
idolatry.
this to be crude. When you say they go and participate there, participate in the feast or the orgy that was going on?
Exactly.
Right.
So it's
One leads
there's
to
a
the other.
connection there. Not necessarily that they are participating in that behavior, but you are stepping into the pagan temple and, you may be enjoying the celebration, but there's also that connection that, after the dinner, it can lead into a drinking fest and lead to sexual immorality. And so
This is where they have the difference of the mature believer and the weak believer as they talk about the mature and the weak. And so, like, depending on the intentions, like maybe you are going because you are mature and you're building a relationship with Christians. Maybe it's a family member that you're trying to win to Christ or you're trying to lead them to that. Well, you can do that. But here's what happens is then you have someone else who knows you well, or they may be another believer, but they're weak. And they're like, wait a second. Now we worship Jesus together, but now you're over here at, Poseidon's temple eating this meat. Like, does that mean we can worship more gods than Jesus? Does that mean there is more gods than Jesus? And then all these questions come up. And I think that's where that comes in, and recognizing what your actions, how they're going to affect your weaker brother, assuming you're the mature one. Like, you may be the weak one in this.
So there's also teaching in Judaism that demons
Yes.
would possess the.
I wanted to get in that, but I did not have enough time.
And so, like that.
Possess the meat?
Yeah.
And by consuming the meat, you were opening the door for demons.
So
to be
because it
able
was a part of the pagan worship
Yes.
ritual,
Yeah.
it became demonically infested.
Yep.
And you ingest,
Yeah. So that was a big
Right.
cultural thing for the Jews, is in the fact of like they were scared that if they did eat the meat, they would be introducing demons. And
And the-
Paul's like, no, that's not
And
how
the difference
that
we
works.
have here that we're not making clear is the freedom in Christ. Like those who had this maturity in Christ, they recognize that those idols or those false gods, they're just man-made. They're wood, they're stone, whatever. They recognize there is spiritual warfare, but God is in control of all these things, and that's where they had the freedom to be able to go and be a witness to Jesus Christ. But then when your weaker brother didn't understand that, that's where the issue started to happen.
I think sometimes though we think we're a lot stronger than we really are,
And we're not.
and we dance around temptation,
Yep.
thinking, "Oh, it doesn't bother me."
Yep.
When it's eroding us from the inside out,
Yep.
and we crumble like a house of cards because we're not near as strong as we think we are. I think that's where we need to always be reminded of ourselves. Anyone and everyone can fall,
Yep.
right? I'm not above giving into temptation. I need to run from it.
I think that's why, like, the community of believers is such an important piece of this, that you're surrounding yourself with other believers who are. So when the call for Paul is to follow me as I follow Christ, it's this call into community of not trying to do it alone. Like, that's not Christianity. And so there's this call of community that's baked into this as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's verse 12. So if you think you are standing firm, be careful that you don't fall.
Yep.
And then that's where you get the no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind.
Yeah.
And it seems like Paul's actually addressing like, hey, you guys are going into these pagan temples to have, eat at these banquet halls, but you need to be careful because
Yeah,
You
I
can
go
fall.
to the bar and drink water.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you probably won't keep doing that.
so yeah. So that's one of the big, I think,
So why go at all?
principles coming up. Yeah. Yeah, and you guys brought up several I would say practical applications for us of how do we
That's the hard
talk
part
about.
because you got to fight legalism when you do that.
Yep.
That becomes dangerous.
Well, what we're talking about, there are all these gray areas, just like this was kind of this gray area
Yeah.
that,
As soon as you highlight a gray area,
Yeah.
people think you made it a law.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, a couple things that you guys said that I took, grace compels us to live a certain way. So, we have freedoms in Christ, but it's grace that compels us. And love, I think maybe you said love limits our freedom. And those-
I think
those are two
verse
big things.
10:31 is the key to at least chapter 10. And it's talking about whether you eat, whether you drink, or whatever you do. And so Paul was extending that to not just this issue of eating or drinking, but all of your actions, your whole being, whatever you do it all for the glory of God.
Right.
And so I think that just comes to the self-reflection, especially as Christians, that we do not do enough. I do not do enough, but we need to reflect, man, is what I'm doing, does this glorify God? How I'm leading my wife or my kids, is that glorifying God? The conversations that I'm in, is that glorifying God? The stuff that I'm allowing to, watch on television or listen through music, or the jokes that I tell or the jokes that I hear, maybe I don't tell them, maybe I hear them, are they glorifying God? Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that I do not do enough, but we do need to do that with every aspect of our life.
Okay. We all good? Is that all you got?
That's a great,
That's a good way to end.
great way to conclude.
So we need to take a sample poll here. Do you like Levi hosting this?
Are you asking us or the viewers?
I'll ask you guys.
I like it. It keeps us directed.
It keeps it structured.
I feel like I should have read the beginning of 10 more.
I feel like you should
Today.
have prepared more.
No.
We tend to
I
drift.
threw you a curveball on that one.
What?
We drift a long time. We think.
I think I need to clarify that whole.
I think
The
you're
the
hilarious,
preparation
I think
wasn't the issue.
should be funnier more.
Jeff. Make funny.
I told a
trade
joke
in.
in a couple of services, and it just fell so flat.
Which one?
Oh, about the guy who says my wife calls me to supper every night with
Yep.
with a smoke alarm.
Yep.
That's a burn offering.
I saw it on the video.
That's great.
That didn't go good. I told him the service with my wife.
I think the joke would have been better if you been like Chuck Holsapple tells this joke, because he actually does tell that joke, and then I think that would have got to rise out.
Shirley's a great cook.
After you said that, I thought, I should have used that in Clay, because he was actually there
If
yesterday.
he's listening,
That's your father.
October is Pastor Appreciation Month, and we love pies here. So.
Here's what's funny. she brought
Coconut cream.
our family dinner, and one time, and
Shirley did?
yeah, and our kids were like, "This is the best chicken we've ever had." And I'm like,
She does make good chicken.
it was it was amazing.
She also has the ability to make the food and keep it hot the entire way from her house to your house.
That's
I
impressive.
thought
It's
she
like
had like
30
an
minutes.
oven in the van.
Yeah.
She brought you all food?
Yeah.
Not me, Jeff.
I have got a meal.
Not me.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't mean that, Shirley.
I was gonna say he's not gonna get any
She
more
brings-
meals anymore.
Every time she comes to Clay County, she brings me food.
He eats
So
there
that's
once
like
a week.
more.
All right. So pies are welcome.
Yeah.
That's for any listening, audience.
Right. Thanks for joining us. Bring food.